it's Brad here from Gangs of Ballet, and you're listening to the Gareth Nelson Show.
Okay, we are joined by Brad from the band's Gangs of Ballet on the Gareth Nelson Show today. Brad, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm feeling good, man. Really good.
All right, how did you guys get started as a band and then also in music?
The true story of Gangs of Ballet is I actually wanted to play bass guitar in a band, and I actually was the original bass player for Gangs.
Mm-hmm.
And we practiced for probably a year, and there's another guy fronting the band, and then he kind of bailed a year into it, and he said, "Nah, this isn't for him."
Mm-hmm.
I got demoted to playing guitar and singing. So that's how kind of then we come back to a while, and we had our first show, and kind of the rest is history, you know. But yeah, my bro Josh plays drums in the band, and we both my dad plays drums and my mom plays piano, and yeah, so we've come from a musical kind of family, you know.
And what artists have inspired you? I mean, what artists inspired you and your brother to get into music, as it were?
I think a combination of old and new.
Mm-hmm.
I've always leaned more towards kind of like, I know it's cliche, but everyone's got to listen to them, is the Beatles and like Queen. There's another band called Brad. I don't know if you know about them. David Gates and Brad. Yes. I mean, he's just the most amazing voice.
I know.
I forget his name. His album was Grace.
Oh, Jeff Buckley, yeah.
Jeff Buckley. So I'm kind of old school stuff, and then the new school stuff was like Muse and Radiohead. My brother studied jazz for 5 years, so he's got a whole bunch of kind of jazz references that he would throw in all right about now. But really, really, actually quite a diverse musical background from myself to my bro to Johnny. Johnny's more to like Rage Against the Machine and some weird hardcore and some also weird jazzy stuff.
And do you think that's like played a role in the songs you guys write?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Josh and I are the primary songwriters. We always say like we're kind of like the spark and the band is the fire, you know. So you know that there's many ways you can dress up a song, and I think we've kind of got the core ideas, but certainly is this joint collective creative around what the songs will sound and feel like at the end of it, you know.
Yes. And how did you guys get the name Gangs of Ballet?
Not a very inspiring story. You know, we've had a lot of people come and tell us, yes, you guys are geniuses. What an amazing name. And then they proceed to tell us what geniuses we are. We're like, yeah, bro, that's exactly what we were thinking. But the truth of the matter is we were at a garage just hanging out one night with some friends in Joburg. And I think we were filling up, and a friend was telling us that she's a professional ballerina. And but the way she was describing it was like, she made it sound so hectic, like just fully cutthroat, and she made it sound like they arrived with like chains and blades, you know.
Yes.
And so we basically started mocking her in true Durban fashion. Just, hey, watch out for the Gangs of Ballet. They're quite hectic,
yes.
You know. And we thought like maybe 2 years later after that, we thought, it's to be interesting band name.
Yeah,
Gangs of Ballet. So there's not a whole lot of genius attached to that, but
it's a good name, isn't it?
That's how the story goes. Yeah, sure.
And then career highlights and things that have stood out for you in your career.
I always say that the first time we heard one of our tracks on the radio was I've got a clear memory of that. My parents' place on one of those tiny little portable radio thingies, and there with my wife, or now wife, she was my girlfriend then, and I remember just genuinely just like air punching. Yes. So I just knew that there was significance around what was happening in front of me, and so that's like a really precious moment. I think we still get a real kick out of it, you know, like we don't really take a playlisting lightly. Every single playlist, we always like congratulate each other, say, well done guys, that's epic, you know, we've loved that. And then we've played like a lot of like really amazing shows. We've played kind of like festivals like Rocking Daisy and Opie, and those are really like iconic things, and playing at the Saunas is also an iconic memory for us. So it feels like we've had a lot of privilege to tick a lot of boxes. So
and regrets, things that you would have changed, as it were.
I think we would have gone overseas. I think that's a regret. Yeah, like there is something in South Africans that we're a little bit wary to take a plunge, and I think we should have just had a kind of bigger balls and just had a go early on in life. But yeah, not to say that we haven't enjoyed the rest of it, but I think if that's a regret, I think we should have at least given it a go.
And then I wanted to ask you now, what do you think of the sort of current state of music in South Africa as it stands?
I think the music industry itself is in flux. I think labels are trying to work out how to progress. In time, to put in perspective, Gangs, when we started our first EP, which was 7 years ago, we produced physical copies, right?
Yes.
And in just 6 years, it's moved from physical through to digital sales to now streaming.
Yeah.
And it sounds like, it's small, but it's massive. It's now, you don't sell a full album, you sell a single.
Yes.
And you don't even get money from that now. It's the amount of times people choose to play your song amidst millions of songs. So the whole game has changed, I think, just around the world. I love that South Africa's starting to find part of your own sound. I love that there's so much more access for kind of local guys to have a go and to become big. There's some legitimately huge acts in South Africa, and a couple of guys that are going overseas. Obviously, the toughest part is the diversity, which is one of our greatest strengths, but it's also one of the hardest things because you've got to appeal to a much wider audience than you ever would have. I think overseas you can pick your niche and you can make a career out of your niche. But within South Africa, I think maybe the toughest part is just trying to tick a lot of boxes to survive. The industry isn't really big enough to sustain micro subcultures. So, but I think it's in a positive place, to be honest. I think amidst the flux, I think there's a lot of good stuff coming out. You've got a lot of guys. Technology has been an absolute downfall and an absolute win, where you've got a lot of people that have got access to producing at home, and creating their own music, and at the same time it's rec music because no one can sell the music. So it's a strange kind of scenario, but I'm a genuine eternal optimist, so I'm positive about it.
And the state of music in the world now, do you think there's like a shift away from like sort of guitar-based music, rock, etc., to more sort of electronic music because of exactly what you just said, that you can make music on your computer?
Yeah, it's a funny one because you're always going to be fighting two things. You're going to be finding trend, and then you're going to fight accessibility. So at the moment we're sitting in the state of accessibility where everyone can be kind of produced, and electronic music is so big because of that kind of accessibility. But then you're also going to fight, at some point it's going to turn back to rock, and I hope we haven't got out too soon. But rock music, for instance, is a great example. Like worldwide, it's pretty dead, but you're starting to see signs of it coming back. A lot of I've been watching some of the big festivals, and a lot of the underground guys, all these like rough punk kind of things. The latest 21 Pilots track is like basically like a hard rock track,
true.
So there's these inklings of trend. They're going to swing around, and studios can once again earn a living because someone's going to have to record a guitar again and a live drum kit. But I think the world we're this global village that you've got access to. Your music now can get played everywhere and anywhere, and there's a lot of different people, a lot of different flavors. So it's an interesting space. It's hard to really nail down.
Do you think it's a good thing, though, the technology, that people can, like social media, etc., iTunes, all these things, or do you think it's good and bad, like you said earlier? Do you think it's the oversaturation of artists coming through now?
Yeah, I think it's good in the sense that, in a click of a button, literally, you can upload your song to the world. So anyone in the world can access your music. So that's never been available to anyone. You've had to go through distinct channels in record labels. So record labels really, their main thing is distribution. They own the distribution channels. So now that's been taken back to the artist. I think where technology has hindered is that artists no longer really earn off their art. And I think that's the frustration for me. So I believe that, my hope is that technology will progress beyond what it is now. That we can gain everything that we've gained from now in terms of exposure, but that we can create greater technology to protect music.
Yes.
I think the moment we transcend this, give away, you're required to give your music away into a place where the artist and the art is really valuable, I think we'll really start to see the music industry flourish again. Also, I mean, the side note is it's because people aren't earning off their kind of music sales as much, their live game is starting to step up, you know. So we're seeing a lot more guys like really pushing the live element because they know that's where, you know, you're making your cash.
That's where you're going to make money, yeah. As a young artist myself, what would your advice be to someone like me, starting now in the industry, and I'm going to make my first song? What would you say to someone like me?
Oh, jeepers. Well, I think there's a couple of things. Firstly, you've really got to be true to your own art. It's very easy to just get along. And to be honest, you know, we've just used 21 Pilots.
Yeah.
You know, you're never going to be better than 21 Pilots. You know, so if you copy them, they're always going to be the better version of themselves. Yes. So it's important that you find your own kind of niche. Secondly, I would say if you are looking to make art versus trying to make a living off art, you've got to just approach it a little differently. If you want to make art because you want to make art and you want to put it out there and hope something happens, no problem. I think if you're thinking, well, I'd really like to turn this into a career where I'd like to live off it, that means I've got to get money in bank to buy bread.
Yes.
Sometimes it's good to almost work from the back. What's the you know, start from the end and kind of work backwards and say, where would you like to
reevaluate almost?
Where would you like to be?
Yeah.
What kind of stages would you like to play on? What kind of music would you really like to? What music people are listening to? That kind of stuff. Where you and mostly once I've made my music, I must have a strategy to get it out.
Yes.
So most creatives, at the stumbling block for 95% creators that I've encountered is that they've got songs, they've managed to record it, and then they get this recording in their hand and they go, stuff, now what?
Yeah.
You know, and that's the actual transition that you need. So the most important is not getting the music, it's actually how to get the music into the hands of the listener.
Absolutely.
And the music has to kind of work for you and create a career for you.
Yes.
We always used to get, I'm sure they were a bit irritated by us because when we started out, we had the privilege of like opening for like, you know, bigger bands, the Polytones and Prime Circle and Freshly and all those guys. And we recognized something very different in them, that they had commercial success. And we would make sure that we hang out with them afterwards, you know, bought them a beer and just spent time asking them questions. But I'm sure they were expecting to say, hey, what guitar do you use? Or, you know, like, what
yes.
And we were like asking them, so guys, like your tax structures, you know, like, or like, you know, how do you like structure a show and how do you deal with promoters? And we were asking all these back-end business questions because we knew that if we could get that right, the rest of the stuff kind of like you're already doing that. That's the strong part. You're really creating the art.
Yeah.
And if it's good, it's going to work. But you need that structure underneath to turn it into a career.
Well said. Absolutely. And then, of course, I can ask the big question. I mean, why the decision now to break up as a band and to pursue different careers?
Yeah, you know, it's a funny one, and I don't know that everyone kind of gets it, but the truth of the matter is it was just kind of like it felt like the season for Gangs was up. We refer to ourselves as kind of active creatives, and we like music is something that we do. It's not who we are, and it's one of our creative expressions. Johnny is like a highly qualified graphic designer. He's working on CR7, which is Cristiano Ronaldo's label, and Josh has recorded his own solo project, which is just spectacular. It's beautiful. He's going to be releasing soon under Josh Scott, and he's also doing session work for Matt. I've built phone applications. I'm involved in some crypto mining. I'm currently managing a young artist by the name of Andrew Sutton.
Okay. And
that's also been an amazing kind of creative business thing. And I've been writing songs for other artists, and so we've had these things kind of out of the wings. So with Gangs ending, it was never really like, oh, Gangs is done now, stuff, what should we do? It was kind of like, yeah, I think Gangs is done. Yeah, I think we've had so much fun. We're still mates, so we're not ending because of bad relationships. We're going to have, like, I can't think of anything worse, pouring 7 years into your life, and right at the end you have a fight.
Yes.
And it just taints 7 years of your life. So we're all in good spirits. We all believe in each other. We believe that the next kind of things that we do are going to probably be the greatest things we do. And yeah, it's just kind of like that. We've got to see our country. We've met some amazing people. We've blown about the support, and yeah, we just kind of like, yeah, that was fun. That was fun. It's going to make for great stories for the kids, you know.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for forming such a great band and all the great music over the years. I must say it's been brilliant. Obviously, following your catalog, etc. And wish you all the best for the future.
Thank you, man. Really appreciate that.
And Brad, well, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you today. I must say it's been some fantastic advice you gave and some great insight.
Oh, shot.
And yeah, we look forward to the future and see what holds for you guys going your separate ways now.
Yeah. Thanks, bro. I really appreciate that, dude. Okay. Shot.